Ah, hello everyone. If you're catching the replay, welcome. I'm Steve. Mark's around. Say hi, Mark.
Hey everybody!
And this is Smokey, Steve, and Mark. Welcome or welcome back. Happy Sunday to you, if it's Sunday where you are. It was a beautiful weekend here. Very quiet, very nice. The parents stopped by yesterday. Ran a few errands with my dad, and we slept in a little bit today. Mark's been out in the garden a lot, doing all sorts of that kind of stuff. And so we've just been filling our time with that. Good times, good times. Let me see if I can see what I see here. Looks like we have some folks already on their way in. Hello, Miss McPhoebe. Hello, Christine. Hello. Goose Hands. Hello, how are you? Remember, I did it right this time. The orientation, I only screamed a little setting it up and was able to fix it so that we're not sideways or I'm not crunched in like this. So we're hoping that'll do it. Jay, what's up? Coffee Beans, what's up? Annie, Shellbell, Grateful, Word, Nerd. So here we go. Summer's almost over now, it feels like. Next week's Labor Day. Labor Day. And then that's the unofficial end of summer. And then it's a long, brisk walk to winter. So, does it look... Yeah, thanks. So we are going to catch up with our fair lady, Chantal. Chantal Marie, Foodie Beauty, Big Beautiful Me, The Daily Chantal, Chantopolis, The Chantal Show, Everyday Miriam. Miriam and Sons. I don't... That sounds like the name of a furniture company. But that's, you know... If you feel 100 right there, I take it back, Jay. I apologize. So she had a rather... It seemed like she was going to have a boring week, and so she made a concerted effort to try to reach out and do some outreach hate to try to plant the seeds for it to come back. That was kind of the vibe I was getting. Queen of Travel? Ugh, God. We'll talk a little bit about traveling, because she's been saying for the last, I don't know how long, we're going to be traveling. I have to get these things for traveling. I had to talk about seats for traveling. We'll be traveling very soon. Of course, I can't tell you, and I know you're all dying to hear. Yeah, I like a good laugh, sure. Tell me. So, last week when we had checked in, we had talked about, she was swimming, which was the thing. You know, took her swimming, and she was going to melt, I guess, inside her abaya while she was doing it. She tried it briefly and then got out. Certainly it deserved a snack afterwards, but that was where she had gone. She was doing some sloppy eating. It reminded me of the throwbacks. And hello. Eaten more out of her control. Yeah, Shellbell, she has. Last week was all, I'm constantly tired, I'm constantly hungry. Hungry, tired. What the hell did she do all day? What would be making someone so tired? You know, I imagine her body's involuntary, movements suck up a lot of that energy because it's probably a lot of work on a heart and body to get blood and oxygen all the way down to those feet. So she's been sealing more than ever. This is true for anyone not familiar. You know how a seal weighs? It's like that. If anyone but her came up with it. So she's been lounging, and even if she has, there was suggestion by her that she had lost some weight. And I got to be honest with you, a couple weeks ago, either smashing filters or different sizes, she looked smaller than she did at her biggest in Kuwait, to me. However, there are filters. She came clean about using level 7 something or other filter strength on her face. It basically just takes a sandblaster. She barely has like eyes and lips when it's done. It's just blank, like this. It makes it this much clearer to see her. That's what the filters do. So, YouTube did take her video down. A lot of her people reported it. And yeah, you don't want to spill over into Twitter. Usually people popular on Twitter, it's not for a good reason. How could she be eating out of depression? She's so happy. I get, of all the things that she tries to lie about, pretending she's okay when she's not very good about. It reads all over her face. She does have some manipulations that are almost seamless. You can pick out when she's talking. Who's the audience? What is she anticipating their feelings are going to be about what she says? Will it bring them closer or further? Will it bring in more or less money? She's been doing this 8 years. Years and years and years and years. And her channel's only gotten more popular. Well, at least lately it's not been quite that, but... So, yeah, it was a rage. She was having, the Chicken Royale, her favorite damn thing from Burger King, and started going off about she needs attention, she needs money. People are sick of watching her eat. They're not even watching the cringe shit, like when Amber goes to walk towards a tree just so you can see her whole body, because she knows she looks like something people would stare at. And Chantal's not much different. It's the same thing. Chantal's walks are from the ceiling on the couch to her room to the kitchen area where that kind of thing is. So, hungry, tired. The cat has matted fur, beyond maybe some other things people suspect, but just looking at her on camera, Julia doesn't look too good. And Julia isn't getting the care that she would ideally get from two mature adults. Two teenagers screwing around, acting like they just won the lottery, spending way, a whole lot of money, saving nothing, so there's no future, there is only now. Yvonne, hi Steve, I'm from Ireland. Hope Mark's feeling better. Thank you for this. Oh, you're more than welcome. You're much more than welcome. Mark is doing quite a bit better. He still has some marks, like bruises, and he has a little bit of a leftover something up here. Could have been the seatbelt pulling or not. But he's mobile, he's lucid, he's mobile enough to cook. So he's doing a little bit better. Mood-wise, much better. It was just a lot to take in at once. I took a couple days off last week. Monday, Tuesday, and I was home with him, and then he worked from home the rest of the week. So he's alive and well. Thank you for checking with him. If anything changes, I'll let you know. So the cat's covered in fur, she doesn't care, and she can't be bothered because it doesn't reflect on her well. I don't know why she didn't take her to get spayed. Because it would be the right responsible thing, and Chantal just can't do that. It's also not beyond Chantal to actually have gotten her spayed, but still tell people that it was just a shot, just so she can stir up enough angry people to watch a video, because views are low. Views are low. So, we'll see. But homemade food versus fast food, and Kuwait life by Chantal. Last week we had talked about what it's like for Chantal to live in Kuwait versus probably a normal person who leaves their home. If, there's people that are homebound due to physical or grave mental illness. That happens. She only does that part-time. It seems so. So we're going to go back about a few days, 4 or 5 days, and the first bullet point I pulled out was the one where Chantal was going to sue everybody for everything. French Rag Girl, particularly. Look at me. Hey, you can't live without me. She wasn't getting a lot of attention, so she starts swinging out. She wants that rage clout. I'm fighting with you. I'm fighting with you. Doesn't make much to fight with a channel that has like 400 subs or less. It makes you look petty. It means you looked for yourself and you got so far down the list that you got to views in the triple digits and got pissed about something somebody said. That's someone who's real happy, joyous, and free. That is what I would say that is. Very, very happy, joyous, and free people do that. I get it. I've Googled my name. Nobody's perfect. But I wasn't going down the list to see who'd mentioned it and how I can quietly but certainly ruin their life because they mentioned my name. Or if they don't mention my name, it's a reason to do it. She doesn't have a life outside of this. Guys, this is it. There's nothing else going on for her. When she turns the camera off, she returns to ceiling until the next time to eat or film. She has very little going on, but of course needs a vacation, so they're taking this vacation soon. And they've been gaslighting this vacation, where we're going, what we're doing. I had to buy cat food. Well, I guess I'll give it to them. She says she's going to board the cats. No one will board an unvaccinated cat and a hamster. She should have done her research before she started lying, because does she wear Depends on the plane? I'm curious, Laura. You ever see the diehards at the casinos who will sit there because they don't want to lose their machine because it's their machine, and they will sit there in adult diapers and drink black coffee and Red Bull? Well, they pay penny slots all night. So it's a little different, but the same kind of, it sucks you in. So Chantal saying with French Rag Girl, trying to say that Chantal didn't take good care of the cat, raises it to the level of the vet didn't know what he was doing either, because he agreed with her. She agreed with him. She ended up just getting another shot for the cat to put off what should have been done. And she was staying outside of her room and outside of the apartment because the cat was making noise. It was in heat, and she was popping around with strays. And it's an issue for her. If the cat needs nothing, she'll keep it. If it needs anything, like food, medical care, any of that stuff, she probably has prioritized any medical care money for her, not the pet. And in her head, she knows it's a stray. She doesn't feel that bad about putting it outside. She really won't. She would drown a cat if she thought it would better a man. So I don't think she'd have any qualms about just putting Julia back on the street, which I wasn't crazy about. That's why we took Oscar. because we took away some of his independence and his ability to take care of himself because he was a stray cat. So we took him in. You can't take him back out now. Not like that. Like, somebody who knows more about animals than Chantal should be filling her in on what to do. Just a thought. Knowing her, they went to the vet on their way to the airport and basically said, well, if you can't take this, I just have to let it go. There's assholes that come to the local animal shelter and say as much. Hi, I found this dog. It's their dog. And I just wanted to turn it in as lost. It's not lost. It's theirs. They just got over having a pet. Too much work, too much trouble, too much drama, too much to watch. And she got about 4 cans of food for leaving for 3 months. So I don't know exactly what they actually have in mind for her. I don't know. Cat wasn't fixed. Why? That was the big question. Why wasn't the cat fixed? It's not expensive. I imagine if there's a cat problem in Kuwait, that there may even be some sort of free places to go get them to, help with the betterment of the community or something like that. Salah went to get a pharmacy to just get the shot and back. Yeah, just took the easy way out. But see, there's no consequences for her if that happens, so it doesn't really even matter. The only thing that would matter is if Julia got sick or died and there was no way to not trace it back to neglect in that direction. And then what could Chantal say? Exactly, Lime Jello. And thank you. The cat is a prop. Period. Pete's was a prop. Of course, he's a prop now with a $15,000 inheritance, so she's probably been sniffing up his long hair. Let's see. The cat wasn't fixed. She was too hungry or too broke, so she needed food for herself or to pay the rent. She takes zero accountability for the condition of her pets. That's not news at this point. How do you intend to pay the lawyer that you're going to use to sue everybody for everything? Snack wraps? How is it? Bon me? How do you intend to pay a person? And file charges from Kuwait as a citizen of Canada against another Canadian citizen, and you want to do all this without returning to the country, without doing all that? It makes her feel better. She doesn't get that her plans are going to fall through. I think she really believes each time that she's going to go do something, and then she gets tired 4 minutes later and decides it's not worth it. She's too lazy. She's too lazy to do the things she wants to do, let alone the things other people want her to do. So, I don't know. She was talking about the cats too. She was kind of off. Yes, I did. TU, motherfucker. Went to Temple, class of 2004 or 5. I had an extra semester. So I worked my way. Thanks for keeping it real. Much love to you and Mark. Thank you, mistress. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, thank you. So let's move on from the cat, because the cat is bothersome, and you can see the cat's in pain, and I'm a new cat dad as of this. These are the first 2 pets I ever had. And Bandit's a long hair, and so he needs a little more grooming and a little more treatment than even Oscar does. Oscar sheds constantly. There's white fur everywhere. But Bandit needs that extra bit. It doesn't mean he's like a special needs cat. It just means that you brush his hair, or it'll get matted, which is uncomfortable for him, not good, looks bad, makes you look like you're treating him as bad as you are. Really. I mean, if you pick up a cat in that condition, show it on camera and say, see guys, he's fine, and nobody else says, oh yeah, looks great, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. I think she was fishing a lot with other... Did you ever meet David Jacobs at Temple, the alien guy? I don't think so. But give me a minute in the back of my head to process. We'll see if a memory comes back up. So once she was making these awful videos about the stuff, she's encouraging the Beezers to please, while you're watching these videos, go out, document what they say, provide me with the evidence, and send it to me. So lazy. These people that she says on one day, you don't like me, leave the next day. Please defend me. They're all so mean. They're so mean. They don't understand. They do not know who they're dealing with. God. Anyway, if you treated a child half as bad as she treated her cat, she'd be in jail. So there's, a little bit of separation there. Her saying she hopes people react so that she can document everything. She's going to be having... It's just so that they can click through the reaction videos. She doesn't have to watch all of them. And they'll send her the stuff that is going to make her angry. First she'll say she wants to know, and then she doesn't want to know, because then it just riles her up. If she looks at one comment, she's going to look at all of them. She's going to have to be all or none. Most channels, I would think or hope, have a mixture of comments that are observations, jokes, things they like about the video, things they didn't like about the video. Every so often you get someone who's just mad at the world and they land in your comment section at some time. But, often enough, we are looking at the comments. We talk to people on Facebook a lot of times from people we talk to on YouTube. So there's connection to be made. We're not so inaccessible like on an ivory tower. We're just a couple of guys on YouTube. And so is she. Well, she's a couple of women. Well, like one woman exploded inside another one, maybe. So, and she's eaten herself bored. Why has she eaten herself bored? People aren't watching the mukbangs as much as they used to. The mukbangs, if she'd put out anything, not one big dramatic one, just her usual sit there, make up stories about childhood and lie and eat really fast in 10 minutes. If she's not pulling in the first hour of a mukbang something like 1,000 views, that's not good. That doesn't look good. If it's been 24 hours and there's not even 10,000 views, and that's not how the audience used to be. When she was back just doing mukbangs, she was doing fine. She was doing okay. A lot of views, all the other stuff that's there, but they seem to, and they have rewatch appeal. I would think if people are interested in that sort of way about mukbangs, where they feel a little oink about, watching it does something else for them. I'm sure it has replay appeal. I mean, for folks who like, let's say, pornography or something, they're going to watch it more than once. So, of course, she's going to get reviews on her content if people are taking it and enjoying it in a few specific ways. So, well, I don't know. So, asking her Beezers to document stuff for her. In the middle of this, I wrote, thank God she can't breed. If you treated a child half as bad, you'd be locked up. And you'd be reminded by the other inmates. Treat children, elderly, disabled, or young people, babies, anything like that. And then get yourself jammed up in a facility and see how much love people have. For someone who takes advantage of the vulnerable. That's monster level. It is. Anything and everything is only as useful as it is to her. Nothing exists outside of her. Unless you can do something for me, you might take something from me. And so she gets on guard. And she baits people with the fakest version of herself to then they find out later the realest version of herself. And then I don't know. Steve, good to see you. Thanks for your take on the train wreck. I'll go back to listening, watching. Hey to Mark. Thanks, Edgar. Thank you. So, I'm not optimistic that she would survive in an incarcerated kind of place. Chantal seems slimy, like she would just go all over the place. And I think a lot of people would think animal abuse... People either think animal abuse is like as bad as abuse between two humans, or worse. People who say worse would be because the animal might be more vulnerable. There's a list of vulnerable people in Chantal's life that she keeps in their place to keep around. Pete's is a little bit vulnerable as far as his personality and disposition. They have a lot of years together that probably meant a lot more to him than they did to her. Especially since she cheated on him. So, but the vulnerability he had, let's say Natter. He wasn't the most vulnerable wilting flower I could think of, but she put herself in a position to have some control over his life. She put herself in a position to get into his legal troubles or try to create them, and he didn't have the resources. She wasn't sure yet. So she doesn't have a problem taking advantage of vulnerable people or using people for other things. Homeless sex partners. If she was a man, this is gender. If she was a man, these would be perceived very differently. What's more disgusting than taking advantage of someone who's unhoused for your own sexual pleasure in a hot minute? I understand weird hookups. Okay, I was young and wild. I've hooked up weird places. I've done things like that. Not a homeless guy. No. Got a shock. That's the point. Animals can't speak to being abused. It's just as if young people, like anything, like there's no excuse. There's no excuse. There's some excuses that some people will live with. Well, hey, I got hit when I was a kid and I turned out okay. The fact that you think you turned out okay is the reason you shouldn't hit kids. That's why. Different strokes, different folks. Some people like her, some don't. I have people that like me and then some that don't. I think that's all of us, probably to some degree. But no one is going to take the back of someone who is known for taking advantage of vulnerable people. There's nothing honorable about that. There's something crafty about it, I guess. And it's the newest, most naive people that tend to get the most views. When she's saying everyone's stalking me, everybody's all about me on YouTube, she's exaggerating sometimes and trying to make it seem like, can you guys believe it's been like this for me the whole time I'm on YouTube? I just want to peace and pray. So, yeah. Now, as far as the mukbangs, I had said she's not doing well views-wise. The views are down on them. She's not getting the look of it of, like, people making gross comments or flattering comments. I mean, if you go into her comments section, she'll have a video with 9,000, 10,000 views, and it will have 60 thumbs up, maybe? If they're shown. People don't hide good metrics, generally. And if they do, they better have a damn good reason. But for regular old YouTubers, if you're going to brag about your stats, let's talk about all of them. You know, let's talk about other creators who you shat upon, who get the more numbers of viewers than Chantal and has 20% of the subscriber base. And I saw it come by earlier, and you were correct. There's a big look at her accounts being dead accounts, the people that are there. And that if they went through and wiped them, it would look a little different. I wonder if they'll make her send the plaque back, or if they'll just void it from the office, so if she tries to show it off, they'll be like, no, extremely boring, needs something interesting to talk about. Well, that, I agree, Laura, and that's what led into all this drama with people. It's not new drama, I want to sue FFG, it's not new drama about the cat, it's none of it, but she needs people to be talking about her and watching her and saying things. And if you're not going to love me, hold on. Oh! We're okay, I dropped my vape. If you're not going to love me, I'm going to make you hate me. Feels like the kind of vibe that she goes for. She can't control people liking her, but she can control people hating her. She just has to. Heather, 103K, 12% are active. Cassandra, like the video and subscribe, guys. Happy Sunday. Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you for the super chat. Y'all are too nice. Too nice. I have to say. Now, I love eating, in case you haven't known. I've had a history with food issues. Whether I loved or hated the food, I seem to eat it anyway. Younger, didn't eat it at all. So I can appreciate having food issues that are different, that people aren't going to understand the way you eat and why you eat. But she has disordered eating. I can't say eating disorder. I'm not a prescribing professional. I'm not a diagnosing professional. But her eating looks jacked. Who eats that much food in 10 minutes? Who eats for 5 in that much time? And trying to do this spectrum of relativism where it's like, well, it's only a lot compared to something. I eat a lot more off camera. That's not reassuring that you're eating more off camera, plus what you're eating on camera. To the extent that people watching you, not everyone watching you wants to see you die. I want to see the end, whatever it is. Either she gets better or she dies. It's going to come down to just plain one or the other at some point. And she'll have to decide. Do I just want to throw in the towel and just hang around having snacks, laying down until I'm dead, or do I want to try to give myself a shot at a life? But I can appreciate, if anyone's lost a lot of weight, like 100 pounds, couple hundred pounds, staring down the barrel of having to lose 250 pounds is a lot. And she's not the kind of person who's built for the patience of one day at a time. It's no comfort to her, I don't think. So, she's already decided, I think, I agree with that. A lot of times she'll say, I didn't lie, I changed my mind. So she'll tell everyone I'm not going to get a gastric bypass. And then the day of, she's driving to surgery. Hey guys, I just changed my mind, okay? I didn't lie about not wanting it, but you booked the surgery a month ago, 2 weeks before you told us about it. So you knew the truth before. You just waited to tell it. You changed your mind about when to drop the truth or disclose the truth. That's the part of it that's sneaky. People don't like sneaky. A lot of people online have a good sense for sneaky too, especially lurkers. Lurkers can usually spot a fake more than most of us, I think. So, doesn't want to be held accountable. That's correct, Roxy, and it's not in any part of her life does she want to be held accountable. Like not here, not there, not my work, not my health, not my finances, not my citizenship, not my friendships, not my relationship. She doesn't have time for all that. She needs to free up more time to think about herself. Okay. No. They're gonna go travel, okay, and she wants to travel, and she's laying the ground of it, like, you know, she's gonna be using it. She's already laid the delicate groundwork so that people aren't stunned when she's in a jazzy or a mobility scooter when they get where they're going. I'm sure that was probably as important as the cost as to whether she could get out and go around. Now, of course, she says that because she's gaslighting that she's going to have a good time. She's going to go out for 2 days. It'll be too hot. She'll get another pulled muscle, and she'll be spending 3 months on a couch somewhere else eating and complaining about how it's everybody else's fault that she doesn't like her life. So yeah, Texas Voodoo, hello. Don't watch me expecting me to stick to anything. Yeah, and that sounds so unbelievable that you would think, they must be breaking balls, or oh, maybe it goes back to an old story and they're just not like that anymore. Nope, it's plain straight out true, straight out true. So, creating angry drama with a bunch of vulnerable people and items, like, okay, pool time and the fashion show wouldn't get people to watch, but if you bait people about the cat stuff, people will talk. People really don't like the way that you treat animals or talk or think about animals. Her bottom line is that, well, it's not dead. It's better than a stray. Who are you to decide? Who are you to decide? You gave away 2 pets out of inconvenience. You dropped them like a hot second as soon as Pee-wee decided that he wanted to maybe text you in more than 3 words and say, hi, welcome to Q8. I don't know if you guys watch Dank Fupa, the cartoons. They're not like entirely current. They're like 4 months old at least, if not more, but plays the angle of like 90 Day Fiancé, 90 Days the Other Way, and it uses the 2 of them, Chantal and Sala. And the voice, the AI I guess they use for Sala is almost identical. I mean, almost identical. Hers isn't. Her voice is a little bit off. Pete's voice on that is really good. But it's so funny. I can watch it like a few times in a row and then play it back. I'll play the playlist in my ear when I'm like doing litter boxes or something really unenjoyable. Hey, pretty lady, you want to come and live with me in Kuwait? You can pay for my house for me. Well, then we go to the question of Sala. Is he a scammer or is he lazy? You know, is this a calculated way to take advantage of Chantal's money so he can live freely as long as she gets to tell everyone they're married? Except at the hospital, I guess, or I don't know, pharmacy. But, So this preparing to launch while we're talking about the traveling is kind of like, when she talked about boarding the cat and the hamster, she knew she'd have to mention it because she has them. Now, she had no issues for the last few times just leaving the cat, and I would suspect someone came by maybe once a day. Maybe once every couple days, you don't know unless you trust the person, to look after the hamster, however the hell you do that. I never had a hamster. And then look at the cat, scoop the box. You know, just because you went on vacation doesn't mean the cat should have to totally fend for itself. Cats are a little bit independent in that way. I mean, if they're thirsty, they'll find their toilet eventually. If they're hungry, they'll find a crumb or something to eat. But just because they're not dead and in pain doesn't mean you're doing a good job looking after them. That's such a low bar of success that most people would consider failure. If the cat's not thriving, enjoying life, shiny coat, well-brushed fur, clipped claws, that kind of thing. You know, people didn't snoop into Chantal's private life to find out about her cat. She told everybody about it. She told everybody about the cut of the nails. She told everybody about gifting it away. And then the night that French Rag Girl had it, she put up a community post that just said bloop, I think. And I was watching later, and Chantal, it was the first time I'd ever seen her like in genuine disbelief about something that she had seen in and around her own channel. Not her fake disbelief. She was like, oh my God, you people are insane. Oh my God, you know, freaking out. But if she did more research, she wouldn't have given her cat to someone she doesn't like. So whose fault is that? Who should have given more attention to where the cat's going? That was epic. Yeah, she couldn't even get a sentence out. What is wrong? You are all crazed stalkers. F off. She was pissed. And she was surprised I think someone took it that far. But it's not like take it that far. It's not like I drove to Canada. It's about an 8-hour drive to Canada from here, to where she is in Canada. And showed up and, you know, it's not the same thing. Like, French Fry Girl was not that far away from where Chantal was, relatively speaking. That they wouldn't run into each other, see each other. And it's always been conspicuous to me that with French Fry Girl and Chantal, Chantal had the fashion show. Isn't that cute? But she called it a fashion show. And French Fry Girl showed up. And either they're both really socially awkward and just got nervous laughter going, but the last thing I saw was a picture of the 2 of them together. Now, I have pictures smiling with people I don't like, so I'm not implying anything. I just thought, well, everyone's making out on this except me. Reaction channel! they didn't look like too uncomfortable around each other. So this venom that Chantal spits. I bet she's like that with Shannon, though, too. Shannon and her go back like car seats. And they fight and don't talk for a couple years, and then they'll reconvene and off and on. And, you know, she's been her friend for a really, really long time. But I get the feeling, too, she goes off and on with her. Or what I think if some things were a little slow on the channel, she might send a text to kind of create a little action, a little bit of discussion, give them something to talk about. And then I'll be the person they're talking about. And then again, views go back, it makes more reactors watch, which makes more views, and it goes on a loop. And then she acts like if there was no her, we'd all starve. Honey, I have like a meaningful job. There's meaningful work being done on YouTube. There's people who are changing other people's lives, giving them instruction, learning lessons, sharing experiences. I mean, for as much random, annoying, and funny crap there is on YouTube or TikTok, there's people who are on there sharing some real part of themselves. And to try to dress yourself up as if this is my transparent self, see me, see how I am, and to know it's all lies. And to try to trick the people who subbed within the last year into thinking you're not the person you were during the Cuba bees. Leopard never changes his spots. It's a popular kind of saying. I don't know exactly, because my spots were covered in booze and cigarette burns. I could go back to being that kind of person. What time is it? Half an hour. I could undo 10 years of progress in 20 minutes. That's all it would take. Go out, have a few drinks, get in the car. I mean, it would be nothing. I would just throw myself back into that whole cycle of years and years. Chantal doesn't change anything but her clothes, and even that's only every so often. But the idea of traveling wherever they're going this time is funny because now it's going to feel like she's going somewhere else for 3 months, then back to Kuwait. So it almost seems like she could go back and live in Canada, you know, and then go back and forth to Kuwait, so be a Kuwait citizen. And then you only have to go 90 days this way, that way, or some sort of reverse. Some sort of way where she can still get what she wants. And it doesn't totally put Salah off to the point where he leaves for more than a week. I get the feeling a lot of times she's there alone, which is why she throws the chat on. She talks about them like shit, but she'd be talking to the cat if it wasn't them. I mean, who's texting and calling her saying, hey girl, you doing all right? Thank you for getting my back last week. Chantal doesn't get people's backs. She scratches them and then eats the scratcher with some mac and cheese. We all missed it. I don't intend to, but I think for a lot of people who live on thin ice sometimes, you forget our lives have been very, very messy. So when that gets cleaned up little by little, sometimes you forget if you're that kind of person. I ruined everything fast. Like I could undo years of progress doing that. Now Chantal's gonna have to undo years of damage to her body, to her relationships, to herself. I don't think it's necessarily a joke when she says that she would kind of do some kinky stuff for Burger King. She had a guy come over on the promise of bringing Burger King one time, but he didn't remember the zesty sauce for the onion rings, and so she kept the food and told him to get out. That sounds so over the top that it would be stupid, but given her ridiculous life, I think it might have that could have actually happened. If food is her fix, then she's going to go any way she can to get it. You know, you don't think, how could you spend that much money on food? You know, when you hear someone has another kind of substance problem, and it's like, how could you, where were they coming up with $1,000 a week to buy drugs? Well, you beg, borrow, steal, you take out a payday loan, you lean into your old best friend who happens to have an inheritance, and so suddenly their name is popping up a lot. So I would hate if she went back and took advantage of that poor soul. I'm keep it gender neutral because I don't know where he's at today. You know, he's not as likable. He's a little petty. He gets really childish when he gets upset too. But far and away, I'd be more concerned for his health and welfare. I think surrounded by the right people, Pete's would thrive. But I think he needs people. He needs people who like him for him. Not that he's the weirdo with the habits. And I thought a lot of people would go online to meet people with similar interests, especially his interests, because they're kind of niche a little bit, you know, especially that rape, pornography stories and things like that. That's a little much. That's a little much. Then she's got Natter doing the same sort of shit. And then we have Salah, who's banging a crucifix hanging off of his... Where does she meet these guys? And why does she think this is... Why would she think that I'd be jealous of a man who barely comes around to see me, is not emotionally satisfying me, or I wouldn't be trying to emotionally satisfy myself with food. If she got fatter there, that's because she's not happy there. And she needs to go to her happy place, and I'll eat what I want, and you can't tell me what to do. And if that's straight up old eating disorder talk, you know, which only comes up when she has to have an excuse for, I can't help it. I have a disease. I have a disability, she says. A disability. Okay. We'll keep moving. Keep it moving. Now, she says she's not ready to travel right now. And then we see some videos and some other stuff, and she's been talking about traveling because nothing else is going on. It takes her 2 weeks to prepare to travel. It takes her 2 weeks to go book. And that's it. But she's really busy the rest of the time doing something else, I guess. He's monstrous looking, so she thinks that Landon would be jealous. She's jealous, it wouldn't matter what. But what if she could have a guy with a real fragrance business who lived in a nice place, who took good care of her? What she puts up as collateral is not going to get a guy like that, or a girl, or a person, all my non-binary pals as well. She's not going to be able to do it. You can only... They're going to ask, well, did you just move to Canada? No, I'm from Canada, but you were in Kuwait. Yeah, I was just staying there with my husband. I just left the country every so often. So, dear heart, dear heart. But again, like I was saying, when she says the last time she took a vacation, she said, oh God, I'm so sick I couldn't even travel if I wanted to. As soon as I heard that, she was getting on a plane. I knew it. She's trying to lay the groundwork. Oh, damn, guys, I can't go to the party tonight. I really wanted to go too. Dang. Like pretending that she's in, and then she'll show up. She'll pop up wherever with a picture with her and her hubby, and we'll start to pretend that they're in love with each other on vacation again before it turns into her sitting on a couch or a bed for 20 hours a day while he gets food. That's so, like, someone with her means, money, and ability to work remotely, a different kind of person would have a wonderful life with her opportunities. The only thing that's a stick, I think, for most people is the way she makes her money. I think a lot of us, you know, integrity isn't necessarily in style, especially in an election year. But at the same time, I don't know. I lose words. I was catching up. Mark was catching up with me because I was going through a few different videos trying to make my final notes. And we were just sitting there BSing. And you know Mark used to come on a lot when we would do the recorded videos. And Mark would share a few thoughts about Foodie Beauty. And I'm trying to coerce him into doing that with the lives. Maybe have one or two topics that came up during the week that he'll watch the videos and I'll freshen him on and give him a space in the timeline so he knows what he's talking about. And Mark is not as nice as I am. People think he's the nice one. I'm the nice one. I am much more the nice one. I'm not the less smug one, if I have to be honest. But yeah. She spends 95% of her time talking about traveling and only 5% doing it. Yeah, every 3 months. So 4 times a year she gets on a plane and changes where she's sitting. No, I'm not jealous of that. I'd rather have a really, really great trip to Florida than spend 3 months in another country not even leaving the fucking room. You know, maybe that's just how I would go about life. I think when people look at her, they think, you know, you're throwing away resources that another kind of person could really have a great time. You could really be a world traveler. But she makes her money by eating. The eating makes her fat, and the fat makes it hard for her to travel. So she's stuck in this big loop. And I couldn't be happier for her, really. So I do feel she has some kind of shift. She's eating worse than ever. She is. And she's like eating on camera to like show people. Like it doesn't hurt. You know, we said last week, it's like drinking poison. She's drinking poison and expecting us to die. You know, that doesn't work. You know, I see a big girl comforting herself when she's eating and has a race out of it. You know, it's not normal. It's not all relative. There's measurable activities. How long does it take you to eat? How much do you eat? There's objective parameters for diagnosing eating disorders. You don't just Google it and then copy and paste the link into a community post and say, see, I found some other rando who thinks what I'm doing is right. If you're right, why isn't it working? It's the same reason it's not working for a lot of people that have extra weight, whether it's 20 pounds or 200. It's a matter of eating and activity. Unless it's a matter of a health concern, in which case you need to be in touch with your doctor and have that. Or if you use your diet as a way to help control an illness, like diabetes, for example. Oh, I can't take care of my diabetes. I gotta pay the bills. I'll just go to the ER and get some insulin every few days. What was the one rumor mill? That Sala's sister had access to insulin and it made it to her. She's not going to do well playing fast and loose with that. And if she gets bigger and bigger and is going to have to sit for 13 hours on a plane at her size, I don't even know if it's medically advisable. I mean, you guys, I'm going to guess we all watched 600 Pound Life at some point. I stopped when they started making 2-hour episodes. I thought it was too boring. But in watching that, Dr. Now, Zardin, would propose to his bigger patients around the 600 mark, don't get on a plane, you'll throw a clot. Yeah, I don't know. She wears tight socks. I don't think she has proper compression socks, but any little bit of help. She probably just has a few drinks, you know, whatever she has around the house to get her a buzz on, and then she goes. So she's going to have a clot or heart attack on one of these trips. She has a history of clots, too. I mean, they're up in her chest, according to her. Now, remember, rule number 1, too, Chantal lies. So any of this could be like that. Throwing a clot, yeah, she's not, and what are they going to do? They're not going to, like, they can't land immediately. And the airport can't, and Mary very rightfully maybe shouldn't, ask too many personal questions about a person's health condition. Looking at her, you think, yeah, she could go any time, but probably not right now. I mean, she'll probably not die within the next 10 hours. So she gets on a plane. And then what do? She's never going to get out if there was an accident. Like, and there's the issue of the 2 seats, buying 2, buying 1. I swear, she buys 1, and then pretends like she's hugely embarrassed and like she doesn't want to be anywhere, and then they fuss over her for being upset and give her another seat. It's funny when you catch her almost crying and she's not trying to. Like when she tries to do the crocodile tears, most of us know it's not anything. It's meant to manipulate or get at someone with that. I can't see them getting her wedged out of an airline seat easily to render aid. No, she ate herself. She ate herself into her own little coffin. They're cheap. She's supposed to, but I doubt it. They're too cheap for it. I would hope that she would take her situation a little more seriously. Now, on the other hand, as far as taking her situations of immobility and stuff like that seriously, and Chantal using the choice of the word disabled to describe herself in this situation. I'm not going to say no. Her mobility and getting around is linked to her lifestyle habits. And it makes it she's indulged in them so far without treatment that now she physically can't walk because the excessive eating has piled onto her body by several hundred pounds overweight, and she has been for years. So that shaves time off your life. And she's never going to have the 6-pack arc. It's never going to happen. She acts like all things are possible. We're not talking like quantum theory here. Like, no, you probably won't. And the evidence we have that Chantal won't get better is the evidence she provided us with 8 years of videos. She's always going to have what's going to be different in 8 more years? Hi, guys. Live from Antarctica. Yay! Where's your man? As she cuddles up with a penguin. So, I don't know. Chantal with a 6-pack on Mount Everest, imagine the views she'd get. She would. If she would turn her ass around, she could be like a big YouTube success story. But so much of it is her personality. No. Base camp, that's true. They're just going to go to base camp. So, it's funny because she like half-assed tries to meet big goals like that. Like the closest she gets to hiking to base camp is the walk from the kitchen to the bathroom, to the couch. Anybody, if she was 10 pounds overweight but was that immobile, she'd have a hard time flying. She'd have a hard time getting around because she'd be zero muscle mass, not a good diet, no sunlight, no air coming in and out of the body. Well, there's air coming out of the body for her, but not much otherwise. 6-pack of Pepsi. Mm-hmm. I hear you. Traveling Freak Show Carnival. On demand. There's a channel right there. You can see it. I don't know if she knows she's a spectacle Or if she's just really in denial. Like when she was out in public and they were in Thailand, people were filming her going around. And she thought it's because she was famous. Oh, honey, of course it is. No, it's because she looks unusual because most people aren't that big, even in the Western world, let alone anywhere else. So they were staring because it's something to look at. Should they? Train wreck appeal. You know, that's explained a lot of people's motives for even watching a channel like this. You know, it's been a train wreck, but I want to see how it ends. It's like getting into a really stupid book you didn't want to read or buy, but now you're on the last 10 pages, you think, and you just got to see it through, even though you're not that thrilled with yourself for being so interested in this. And there we go. And there it goes. So no, I don't think of her as disabled. Not disabled. I have no more sympathy for Chantal not being able to walk than if she had cut off her own legs herself. She had an active part in this. Food addiction, disorder, glutton, whatever's causing her to do this. You know, people don't have a lot of sympathy for that. Like, I can tell you as someone who used to drink, eat, well, I drank, pilled, all those sorts of other things. People aren't that sympathetic to you when you fucked yourself up. You know, it's one thing if you were abused or manipulated or something like that and there was more going on. But when you kind of put yourself out there like that, I don't know. I thought about disease again and I thought of South Park. I watch South Park very rarely, but I remember there was an episode where one of the kids' fathers found out that he had a disease, alcoholism. He was dealing with it. And so in order to deal with said disease, he took him to like Our Lady of Fatima, and he was like passed out in the wheelchair with 6 beers in his hand with people who have crutches and other things. He's like, yes, I too have a disease. It's alcoholism. And then fall face first into the, you know, blessing water. So that was kind of the thing I thought. I'm like, disability? She has physical disabilities linked to obesity, which is not linked to much but her eating. I mean, I understand that there's things like hormones, PCOS. There's a lot of different things that can do it, but I see you, Caroline, and I say, yeah, the food disorder is a mental disorder first. It starts there. But if you're going to put her in like even if you put her inpatient, they can guarantee that she'll lose so many pounds over a period of time. They'll control and monitor her diet, assuming she doesn't sign herself out. She'll complain that there's lack of treatment due to stigma for big people, and that the other places are private and insurance won't cover it, and her life isn't worth spending the YouTube money on. The corn dogs are. Not to take the hormones after the hysterectomy. Well, I guess. I mean, if it's good enough for the cat, it's good enough for her. Just let it run. It's fine. It's a natural course of things. Losing your gallbladder in your 30s is not the natural course of things. Just saying. Just saying. So no, I do take exception to her saying she's disabled as she cruises through the airport with a bucket of KFC in her lap, getting ready that last... You know, some people pound a few drinks before they get on the plane. She's got to get some food in. But nothing too heavy because she's not going to be standing for 14 hours. So, she lost her gallbladder. 17! Thank you for the correction because that makes it worse than I remembered. Thank you. So, I don't know. But no, I don't have the sympathy for her as if something bad happened to her. She wasn't struck by lightning. You know, and it's not that I don't give compassion to people with food addiction or other addictions, because I have one too. And I can tell you, sometimes you know you're full of shit, but you just got to put your face on anyway, because you need to do whatever you need to do to get whatever you need to get. And if for her, that means threatening divorce, so he'll go to Burger King for her, she'd go there. She'd go there. We've seen her on camera. Can you get me this? I want this. I want a donut. Nya, 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 nya. Who lines up to marry that? You first? Go ahead. Not me. Not even the money would be worth it. Not even the payment would be worth it. But she only lives in filters and appearances, you know. For the rest of... We don't exist to Chantal once her phone is off. So she'll turn her phone off. When she turns the comments off, then she doesn't have to know that there's a lot of bad ones. We all got something. Everyone does, Liz. Some people's more extreme than others, but she's also monetized her illness and insists, quite honestly, I need to eat. I need to eat this stuff. It's my job. I'll lose my job if I don't do it. Yeah, but your job is killing you. What if your job was to drink on camera? You know, And then you come on camera half drunk. No, 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 I haven't had a drink in weeks. I'm just really tired. Yeah. Love to see you get mildly worked up over her stupidity. Well, when it comes to treating vulnerable people poorly, and also her desire to present herself as a vulnerable person, that's okay, Panda. It's good to see you. You'll catch the replay. So, no pity for the situation she's in. She did it to herself. If she were disabled for some other reason out of her control, now am I going to ask everybody in a wheelchair, do you deserve to be in this wheelchair? That's a little bit forward, even for me. Because that's none of my fucking business. But that's not mobility. That's mobility. It's not necessarily size or the reason for her immobility. Like, if I got to the airport and I was too drunk to walk, can I get a wheelchair to the plane? You know, it's not your fault. I could have not drank, but I did. So drive me there. I'm trying to think of comparable circumstances, you know, and people who are addicted to food have 1,000 reasons why it's okay to overeat. And why this doesn't matter and that bite doesn't matter. And so what? It's just a little bit of juice, okay? But it's snowballed beyond seriousness when we have now diabetes. And we don't have access to regular health care because we can't go back to our home country for reasons known to her, I guess. Buzzballs and live stream, and she needs to drink while she's making live streams. Ugh. I can't. I can't do drunk high people on YouTube. There's a couple people I know that were. There's the couple reactors that had concerns and issues like that. But it depends on your perspective. Alex Ashok was pretty forthright about his problems with substance use. He was on camera a couple times, not looking too hot. And he took a little time and went and got himself some help. And he's back. Nobody had to convince him. Nobody had to, like, beg and plead. He had enough insight to know, I'm not doing good right now. I'm not doing good. And it's easier to stay sick. I can tell you, it's so much easier to stay drunk. But it's so much healthier. There's so much more to do when you're not pilled out or drugged out or smoked out all day. You know, there's more to be had out of life than just that. So, and then we get up to Current, where she had the video that was taken down, the Chicken Royale video. She's a victim of unlawful censorship. It was taken down for violating TOS. She mentioned garlic bread a lot. She had some other kind of vicious violence. She opens her mouth and trash comes. She sounds trashy when she talks. Because how could a person who is so utterly, outwardly flawed takes a moral high ground on someone else to describe their behavior and what they're doing and how they make choices? Nope. So I hope that's at least a firing shot past her nose with not talking about other channels. She used the word gimpy, and I'm pretty sure it's a disabled slur for YouTube. Yeah, gimpy is not friendly language. It's not. Language changes a lot. I can appreciate someone saying, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say you were handicapped, you're disabled, or you identify as handicapped. You know, people have whatever they want. And that's fine. But she's not disabled. She's not disabled. She has a conditioning that is potentially disabling, but so do I. I have type 1 bipolar disorder with psychotic features periodically. I get that life doesn't feel fair sometimes. I had a therapist who changed almost everything in my adult life who told me one time, fair is an opinion. And she was so right, I wanted to throw the stapler at her. But what she thinks is fair and is rightfully hers and is rightfully hers completely, ownership. You know, she feels safe with ownership. She doesn't buy a house or anything. She buys a man, she buys a car, she buys the food. She makes herself indispensable. Kind of like when they tell you if you want to be a good employee, go in there and learn every job. That way they won't fire you. No. No, they won't. Instead, they'll just work you to death for 10 an hour. I'm not bitter. So, she described his gait as having a bad leg and then said he's just ugly and gimpy. Yeah, whatever. It'll come around. I know karma to some degree is supposed to maybe happen in the next life, but what goes around comes around. I'm just watching the show like a lot of other people. I'm not praying for any specific outcome, though obviously healthy would be better than dead, but that's just what I would probably try to put forth for her. And so where do we go? well, going into this week, travel. When are we traveling? We're going to be traveling. We don't know when we're traveling, and we'll see. I really do think because she insisted she couldn't, but that they're just going to have to. They're going to go wherever they're going to go. There's always confusion with me in Thailand. I thought at the end of Thailand she was there by herself and maybe Sala wasn't. That he, for whatever reason, had to leave. It seemed like they were there far longer than they had intended to be. Or they were there longer without the resources they maybe thought they would have had. So with YouTube Payday having just passed and she's bought a ticket to wherever she needs to go, the plans are in the works. So we'll see. She likes that, though. She knows people want to see, like, shitty things happen to her. So she'll, like, fake that she's disappointed about something, hoping people will cheer. And then she'll make a video saying, "Ha ha, haters, I did it anyway." You know, like one of these pictures in the airport. Or with a camel, you know. So that's where we're going to be looking at next week. Does she probably, her health and her location will be big to-dos. End of the month, right before payday, and then end of the month, she starts cranking them out, content-wise. And that doesn't mean it's good, it just means it's viewed. So we could be seeing hours of live streams. I mean, hours of live streams that she does during the week. Double digits, you know, 10 to 15, maybe more. So those I skipped through. I used to go zoom and skip through it because that was right when COVID started and she wasn't going anywhere. And she used that as an excuse to totally change to live streams instead. But live streams with no topic. It was just like, eat with me. Okay, but I'm not eating. I'm watching you eat. So, well, everybody, we had a nice crowd here tonight. 250 people is a larger group for us. And I had a good time talking, so we're going to wrap up here in a moment. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching as well. Chantal has a rather full life, and it's sometimes hard to pick out and talk about things. Like if I've seen another reactor addressed a topic really in depth, and I agree with them, I don't need to put it up because they've already said it, and I feel like they're right. You know, I tend to quote them, I would think, rather than take. But oh well, oh well. So y'all, you've been nice. You've been a good crowd. We didn't have any trolls, and we had some great mods in here. Thank you, mods. Thank you lurkers and commenters who keep the chat going. Please do subscribe and hit the thumbs up on your way out if you'd be so inclined. You'll get alerts when we have new videos and go live. You can catch us on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook also. Our email address is below. If you have any questions or any suggestions, hit us up any one of those ways. It's fine. Thank y'all for watching, and we will catch up with you, ideally tomorrow. Mark is supposed to be going tomorrow for Mondays with Mark, and I hear him moving all over the place doing stuff now. So I'm anticipating a video tomorrow. Latest Tuesday, probably tomorrow. Thank y'all for being here. You're too nice for a guy like me, but I'm happy you came. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Say bye, Mark. He's in the garden. Bye from Mark.